doing something a little different, combination of a few things called activate strength and sweat and stretch. We're just going to start off with some arm swings to warm up while I explain this. So normally we would do 4 groups of 3 exercises, but we're changing it up to 3 groups of 4 exercises. And in each group we're going to have one of those movements. Today we're a little bit more lower body focused. Our beginner class with Justin on Thursday will be a little bit more upper body focused. Going some shoulder rolls, elevate, retract, and press the shoulders. So for our equipment needed today, you do need a chair and a mat. These are optional as well, but then we're just going into our sort of side leans. Resistance band would help. I also have these slider things today. You can use a lot of different things instead of these. You don't need them, obviously, like all our classes. Standing twist. Elbows pulled back. If you're on carpet, you can use like a cookie sheet. A cookie sheet slides pretty well on carpet. If you're on hardwood or tile or something like that, I suggest using like a towel. Towel slides pretty well. But again, it's not necessary, but we can do a pretty good hamstring exercise if you do have something that slides on your floor. If you have these sliders, that's great too. All right, but without further ado, we will get right into it. So within our first group, look at that timer. We have our dynamic pigeons. So this is something new. We're going to go into a high plank position. And then we're going to sit into that pigeon pose, going up, switch into that other side. So we're just constantly going into that pigeon pose, but switching. Then we have our sumo squat. You can use a weight for this. You can use your resistance band if you want a little added resistance. Toes are pointed out. Feet are hip farther than hip width apart. And then I sit as deep as I can. Squat jacks. So, squatting position. We're going to squat down, touch, jump up, touch my feet together, jump out, touch the ground again. And I'm alternating what hand I touch the ground with. And last but not least, figure 4 stretch. We've done this at the end of our workouts before. Left leg crossed over, left hand through the hole, right hand on the side. Halfway through, we'll switch. Without further ado, we will get right into it. In 3, 2, and 1. Just switching sides. What I do is I let that back knee touch the ground. I keep my chest up. And as soon as that back knee sort of touches the ground, that's my cue. Same format in terms of work rest, 30 seconds on, 10 seconds off. All right, stand up. Go into our sumo squats. Nice and tall again. This is our position. If you want to hold something, you're holding a goblet in front of you. I stood the wrong way there. There you go, just so you can see me a little bit better. That glare. That chest lifted again. When I squat, I don't collapse my body. My spine is the same angle as my shins. If you need to modify that, just reduce your range of motion. For this one, if we need to modify, we're just stepping out. We're going into the squat jack. So if you're modifying this one, we'll squat as deep as you can, touch down, touch in, touch out. Same thing, right? But if you're trying to go at the full pace. We're doing that little jump jack with our feet. In between our squats. All right, I'm going to show you the modified dynamic pigeon. So we'll just be sitting on our chair, and we'll cross our leg, we'll lean forward, and cross our leg, lean forward. The modified figure 4 stretch is just going to be sitting on a chair and doing this, but holding it. You know, if you have a lot of difficulty with squat, we can even modify our sumo squats with this chair, right? I'll show you what that looks like. I'll turn that a little bit there. And again, I'm just in my sumo squat position. And I can take a seat, right? Like, if you're at the point where you're not able to do these full squats, you know, doing a few squats is troublesome. Now you can sit down, you can stand up. When you progress a little bit, then you're just touching your bottom to the chair. Like so. You just go at your own pace, right? We don't need to, you don't need to sweat for this to be a good workout. You could just be moving, right? Movement can be enough. Yeah, if you're modifying, we can just sort of step side to side. And maybe you're not quite there touching the ground. You can touch the inside of your leg. Touch the inside of your leg. You know, not even getting a little bend in the knee there to do it. Inside of the leg. Maybe you can get a few, regular squat jacks after your built up that little bit of strength, a little bit of cardio. All right, and then figure 4 stretch, we start in 10 seconds. I completely botched that. And again, the modified version of this is we'll just sit on the chair, cross our leg, and you can go ahead and begin now. Stopped a little bit early on those squat jacks. That's my apologies, I didn't change the round timer because I'm a pro at doing that. We'll get a little bit of extra rest at the end here, but that's okay. We're switching sides. Slight lean forward, or if you're on the ground, that figure 4 stretch. All right. This, 1, 2. Last round, dynamic pigeon pose. I'm going to do everything unmodified here. Show you what that looks like again. Just switching sides in that 5 plank position, touching that back knee down. That back knee down is just me sinking my hips into this stretch. The point of doing these sort of dynamic movements before we do, perfect down there, before we do these strengthening and sweat movements is to get the muscle ready to do that, to its job. Sumo squats, the muscle that you just were using or stretching in that dynamic movement are your glutes, mainly your glute med, gluteus medius. Those are the same muscles that you're going to use in your squat jacks. Same muscles that we're using in these sumo squats. All right, squat jacks. 10. I wasn't modifying anything. Sort of got lost looking at the timer. I'm used to 6 minutes being the cutoff point. getting used to that a little bit. Throwing me off a little bit. Alright. Last but not least, for figure 4. Starting with the left side. Left leg towards the chest. Halfway through, so we'll switch sides. The right hand through the left hole. Feeling the stretch in the right leg. Awesome. You can go ahead and take a break. I will be making everything good for round 2. So, and explaining our exercises. This is one where you need that thing that slides if you're going to do it. I have it here as a single leg glute bridge because that's what you're going to do if you have no equipment or don't have like anything that slides. Our forward fold is our overhead reach though. We've done this in warm-ups. We fold down, we come up, hands overhead. Nice thing about this one is the modification is you just go to where it's comfortable for you. If that's here, you know, if that's all the way to the floor, wherever it is for you, that's sort of where we're doing it. Single leg glute bridge. We've done these before. One leg parallel with the other, hips up, right? If you have these things called sliders, you can use these as well. Or if you have something that slides well on the surface that you're using, you can use those as well. But essentially all you're doing is a glute bridge where you can slide your feet out and bring them back in, and that uses a little bit more hamstring. So if you have a towel on wood floor, works really well. Like I said, a cookie sheet works really well too. Just don't tell your significant other. They might get a little upset. And then the modification for the glute bridge. Single leg glute bridge is just 2-legged. Walkouts from the standing position. We're going to crawl down. Walk out, high plank position. Stand back up. Modification for that one. What we're going to do is we're just going to do, you can do plank shoulder taps. You can do incline plank shoulder taps. It's not as much as a sweat exercise there. Or what you can do is you can do your hips, knees, ankles up. Hips, knees, ankles up. Right? Then you still get that little bit of up down. And then our elevated straight leg stretch, that's where our chair comes in. Heel up on the chair, toe pointed towards you, keep your balance by looking forward and straight ahead, not to the side of the camera. And halfway through, we'll switch on that one. All right, so we are up again in 3, 2, and 1 with our forward fold. Timer starts. Fold down. Got to stretch my hamstring. Pull back on my left fingers. And hip to the left, lean to the right. And switch sides. And every time that we do this stretch, we're going to switch what hand we're pulling those fingers on. It looks like we'll probably get one more in, which means we're ending on our left side, and we'll start on our right side next. Alright, so I'm going to showcase that single leg glute bridge. And then maybe the last round, I'll demonstrate more of those hamstring curls. Or maybe the second round. But I just want to make sure everyone can do this workout. I like to just provide that option of variety. Switch. Some people, again, when we touch our hips to the ground, it's just like a kiss, right? It's just right there for a second. And then you're back up. Push the hips as high as you can. Done those. We're into the walkout. This is probably the hardest move of the workout. Standing, we walk down. Walk out to that high plank position. and stand back up. Now, if you need to make this harder or easier, and you still are able to do sort of a lockout, is just adjust your speed, right? I'm going at a pretty controlled, slow pace so that I can continue to speak. But if you need to, you can. Oh, we're done there. You can slow it down. All right, and then we have our elevated leg stretch. So pointed towards the shin. Nice straight leg. Whole body. Feeling that stretch in the hamstring, right? And you can adjust what level your hamstrings are, right? Like, if that's too much, you don't always do it from the ground. You just have that slightly forward to sides. We really just want to keep that leg straight. Still pointed towards the shin. Standing tall. As you can tell, this round is a little bit more posterior. All right, we're done there. Get set up for our forward fold with overhead reach. We'll start with, I'm going to stay over here this time. We'll start with the right side. Overhead. Give you guys some different angles here. A little bit more information on the movement. Left side. It's a little harder doing this extra round because I have to do more math. All right. Perfect. We're going to our single leg glute bridge. I'll show you some of those hamstring curls this round, and then last round I'll, oh, that's not right. Last round I'll go back into glute bridge. So we're starting, I'm just a little slow here. Hips are up. I slide my feet out. I don't go all the way because that's going to be extremely difficult to pull back. I just go to where I feel like I can keep this up for 30 seconds. Hands are at my side. I started cheating by gripping my mat there. 5 more seconds. And time. All right. Walkouts are next. Enough time to sort of stand up and get ready for these. Again, if you're doing the modification, it's hips, knees, ankles, up, hips, knees, ankles, up, or wherever your points of contact are for your range of motion. So it could be hips, knees, shins, up, right? What the point is, just to get your body used to that vertical level change. Or we're doing the full walkout. Almost there. Last one. Going to that leg extension. I think I'm a little bit behind on time here, but that's okay. Let's go right into that. Straight leg. If you ever want to change the stretch too, you can just do it by turning your body, right? By turning my body towards the leg that's on the chair. I'm stretching different hamstring muscles. I can do it on the outside, but if you do it on the outside, switch sides, you have to point your toe out. So if I was doing it on the outside, my right leg's on the chair, you can't really see it, but my left leg is pointed out. All right. And I did it again. We're on our last round. We'll go into our forward fold, overhead reach. I ended on the right hand last time, so we'll start with the left hand. Make sure to mind that glare, certainly getting a lot brighter these days. I'm certainly not complaining about. We got one more in us here. Excellent. Single leg glute bridge. Again, if you're doing the modification, what we're going to do is we're just going to do the regular leg of the bridge, right? Or maybe, you know, you're on your third grad and you're getting a little tired. You need a little bit of a break. You can do this as well. Excellent. All right. We have our walkout. Walk out into that high plank position. And back up. Try not to wobble my hips at all on this one. It's nice, strong positioning, right? Everything is deliberate, nothing wobbles. Alright, and that's our last one there. We go into our elevated hamstring stretch. So poised towards the shin. And then you can have that slightly forward too, right? Same if it's on the ground. Those walkouts, they are challenging. Switch sides. Probably go a little bit over because it's switching time. That's okay. We go on to our last group. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Step timer. Last group. We have our downward dog with calf pump. We're in this downward dog position, right? Hips are up, and then we just alternate pumping our calf into the ground, pumping our heels into the ground. Then we have our wall sit with curl. I'm going to grab some light weights for this. You don't need weights, you know, the curl motion is just there to keep you a little bit distracted from time. I'm just using 5 pounds here. Yeah, our wall sit. And curl. Squat pulse jumps. We're going to be in this squat position. Stand here, not there, so I don't trip over my dumbbell. Squat position, and we're just doing these little hops, right? If you don't want to jump, again, we can just sort of do our onto our heel raise. And then our standing quad stretch. Use your chair if you need to balance, but just grabbing that ankle or grabbing the foot behind the back. Standard stretch there. I'll show you a modification as we go along in round 2 if you need it. But we'll get started in 3, 2, and 1. Downward dog with calf pump. Those hips high in the air, and we just alternate, pressing the heel into the ground, keep that trail leg straight. Breathing. All right. This is the hardest move of this group, in my opinion. Wall sits with curl. We wall sit. We want our hips the same level as our knees, our feet under our knees. The curl will just keep your elbows tight. If you need to modify it, just go a little bit higher. You're still going to use your legs, but just make sure your feet are under your knees, right? Almost there. And time. All right. Well, pulse jumps. These 2 back-to-back are pretty brutal. I will not lie. We're just doing these little jumps. Or, again, if you need to modify, just take it a little slower. Jump into that little bit of a calf raise. Squat into that little bit of a calf raise, right? So meet yourself where you're at, make your workout your own. as I always say again, I'm gonna hop out of that window. Awesome. Then we're gonna do our standing quad stretch. And you can use chair, a wall, whatever you need to do this stretch. I've always had a difficult time balancing on this one. Switch sides. Try to keep that knee in line with the other knee. Standing up tall. Way over time on that one, but we are done. We're going to our downward dog. Calf pump right away. Taking your time. If you find the downward dog position difficult and you still want to get that calf raise, you can go into just a plank, right? And do this. You can even do it from a low plank position where you just press both heels into the ground. You know, whatever you need. I find that's one actually very difficult. All right, and our wall set. With curl on the 20 mark. If you don't have an active wall available, just get into your quarter squat and your half squat and do these. Play there. Legs are shaking, so that's a good thing. And time. All right. Pulse jumps. Again, you can use something like your chair or your couch, right, to sort of do your, quarter squat with your heel raise. Right, I'm not sitting, I'm just touching down. Whatever it needs to be. Good to go. All right, so first standing quad stretch, I'm going to show you something a little different if you have a band or a towel. It's going to go around your midfoot. Then you're just going to lie on your side and do that same sort of standing quad stretch. And I'm not going to switch sides on this time. If you're standing, you can go ahead and do that, but it just takes too much time with the band. We're just doing that same stretch. As I would if I was standing, but I just have a band now assisting me over my shoulder. Excellent. All right. Into our downward dog with calf pump. If you need another modification, you can do this from standing too, right? Where I can sort of just take my turn, alternating, pressing my heels into the ground. Right? That trail leg is straight, heel stays pressed into the ground. Alternate forward. Same exact movement, but I'm just taking the difficulty of the downward dog out of it. If you can do the downward dog, I do suggest doing it because it is an excellent mobility exercise. Also with curl next. Almost through. Almost done. Right into it. Again, the weights are just there to distract you. You can do hammer curls if you want. You can do reverse curls. And whatever you need to do to get through this treacherous exercise that is so good for you. Works on isometric strength, which a lot of people are lacking. Excellent. Well, pulse jumps are next. I'm going to move these right out of the way so I can do those. Put it in this back corner right next to my Nice looking ferns. We're into them. I was already going sumo squat there, but you certainly don't need to do that, right? You can be a little bit more narrow. Makes it a little easier. These little bunny hops. Time to go. Again, if you need that modification, just into that squat and stand, that calf raise. Awesome. Last exercise is our standing quad stretch. Whew. Get into it. And with 35, we're switching. I usually switch a little bit earlier, like 33, just to make sure I get both sides nice and even. Switch. Between those pulse jumps and the walkout, you certainly do sweat a little bit. Awesome. We're just going to start where I sort of want to go on this, and that's on the ground. Hands overhead. You can make it a little bit of a Y if you want to. Try to get those elbows to the ground to stretch out that chest a little bit more. Couple of deep breaths in and out. And we'll go into our child's pose. Push your hips back, leaning forward. Nice having that stretch at the end because you know you're stretching the muscles that you're using. We still want to make sure that we add a little bit of stretching in at the end for a cool down. Cat cows next. Lift the spine up. Lift the chin in, and then on our breath, we move into that neutral position. All right, and we'll go into our half kneel hip flexor stretch. So I'm in that half kneel position. I'm going to push my hips forward, and then I'm going to do my handcuff stretch at the same time, right? This is our last stretch. We're going to combine two. Handcuff stretch. We stretch our chest, push my hips forward in this half kneel position. So I'm also stretching my hip flexors. And we want to sort of combo the boring parts. We'll switch sides. Oh, I'd say boring. The slower parts to make the most bit of our time, right? Switch sides on that handcuff stretch, switch sides, the hip flexor stretch, and I'm just pushing the hips forward. Keep my chest nice and proud, pull my shoulders back and down. And that is good enough to call it a day. Call it a beginner workout. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I didn't count the rounds again. I was not on that day, but that's okay. Still a good workout. Again, I'm going to plug that HRA if you haven't done it. Make sure you do it soon so you can get your 500 things at 10 points. That's only for a limited time. Make sure that you're signing up for that resilience challenge as well. It's going to be a really good one. To focus on improving that resilience for things like, work, but also exercise, where it's sometimes you face a couple challenges and then, your workout goes out the window and then that starts to snowball and you stop working out altogether. So sign up for that challenge. It's going to be really good. But until that, I will see you guys on Thursday. Have a wonderful day.